In the last video, we talked about the materials of a literacy kit ranging from Sun to an Our Daily Read University course and everything in between. One of the things that I'm worried about in this program is always losing readers because I'm bored. And readers will say that all the time, and sometimes they'll do it for real because they just don't find something that relates to them, and other times they'll do it because the materials they just don't appeal to them. Other times they'll do it because they're struggling and they need to secretly move around to different levels of learning and literacy, but they're too embarrassed. So what we want to do is provide them with supplemental kits when we can. Supplemental kits basically mean what books can I bring to put in front of all the learners so they can grab what I want them to bring. They must read from the literacy kit, but then they can read anything else that they want to afterwards. The more the better. Okay, but let me show you what a supplemental kit looks like. In front of me I have a pile of books that I pulled out from a bookshelf, and these are things that I could easily get rid of in my home because my kids are done reading them, and I just pull them out and look at them. I've got about 20 books here, and this is how a supplemental literacy kit looks. If you remember the layers of the literacy kit in the last video, you go from vocabulary to fragments to sentences to paragraphs with pictures to full paragraphs to lots of paragraphs, chapters, and then full Bible, many chapters. Well, materials do that as well, and I want to start by saying something like this. My A book, okay, this is a very simple book. Now, unfortunately, there's nothing that looks like an adult book that says my A book. Okay, but remember, you're just making literature available for people to grab. So they might, even if they're embarrassed, but they know they need it, they might laugh a little bit and say, oh, I want to take a look at this. This looks fun. And then they grab it and they go through, and it says, little A had a box. Okay, it's a very simple sentence. What level of reader is this? So what I'm doing is grabbing a bunch of books and I'm saying this is the easiest level. This is level 1, and I'm going to make a supplementals pile of books and put these in level 1. And then I go and I grab some other books and I look at them and say, oh, here's one, and this is a first grader. Well, a first grader, what does a first grader look like? You know, a little bit harder sentences. Okay, and so this might be the sentence level of the kit, the literacy kit, but it might be the middle or harder sentences. So you put this with that level. I'm going to say this is middle to hard sentences over here. Where I go to another book and I just grab it and I look at it, these sentences are a little bit harder, and I put it on the other side, definitely hard sentences. And I go to some other books and I look at them and I see that they're much simpler, okay, and that these have small paragraphs to them. So it's not my A book, but it's not my first grader book, it's somewhere in the middle. And you can see what I'm doing is I'm going from very easy to a little bit more challenging books. And I can do that with any book anyway. And then what you do is you start putting them in groups and you label them. Level 1, level 2, level 3. It doesn't matter how many levels that you have, okay, but if you have 5 to 7 levels, you're making a supplemental library, and that's the goal. And what happens is when you gather people, no matter how you gather them, whether you're teaching one-on-one, you teach them in a classroom, you teach them in a church, or you just make materials available and people come and go. If you teach them, hey, these levels are the different things that you can grab from, and try to find something that you can really read, and then just stop, just back away and let them read, let them explore, let them look, because you're teaching ownership. And when they say, I want that book, even if it's too hard or too easy, they'll naturally level out and they'll move and gravitate to a different direction, and then they'll settle into that. So depending on your country and where you're from and where you're watching this video, sometimes a supplemental kit is something easily that you can gather and get donations for in a church, for example. All the parents who've had kids who had books, they're no longer reading them. If they want to donate them, then you can make a supplemental library. Sometimes we can bring them to programs, and other times we just don't have them. And then we just have to deal with the material that we do have. But one thing's for sure is when readers are really motivated, they're going to work hard through that. We just want to get the readers that are not as motivated by the supplemental kits. So something to think about, something to add, and a bonus to you if you can do it.